This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is J.C. Gordon, recent graduate of our Broadcast Yourself course. Welcome to the studio.
My pleasure to be here, Brian.
Tell us about you. Where are you from? What do you do?
I am from Vancouver, Canada, and I, like you, am an ex-banker. I was a banker, a financial analyst, I semi-retired, and I had an event that changed my life as I was semi-retired. I was out bucking some wood one day, and the chainsaw kicked back and went through my throat. And you maybe see a little bit of a scar there, and I literally died. And so that experience changed my life completely.
Wow. When was that?
June 25th, 1996.
You remember the day?
1:10 p.m. I remember the minute, yeah.
And what happened that day? What was the results of what happened?
Well, the chainsaw kicked back, it went through my throat, and then it hung up on me. It was still on. I had a sweatshirt on. And I remember at that time, Brian, hearing a voice that said, everything's going to be okay. I have a purpose for your life. And at that point, I kind of went into a Zen mode. I just kind of slowed down and was able to understand everything that was transpiring. And about an hour later, I died on the emergency room table in a small little remote town called Bella Coola, British Columbia, Canada.
Wow. So someone found you with the chainsaw in your chest.
I had two people working with me on the property at the time.
Okay.
And so there was a gentleman, he was a Korean gentleman, and he ran across and he said to me in his broken English, he said, what to do? I said, well, could you turn the chainsaw off? And there was a red kill switch at the bottom, Brian, that 19 times out of 20, when you hit it, it didn't turn off. But this one time it did. And fortunately, he was able to turn it off and pull it off rather than, pushing it through me. But yeah, it was, and to this day, Brian, I've never felt anything. Of course, because of adrenaline, it kind of kicks in, and it, I never felt anything as a result of that, even though my neck was completely wide open.
Wow. All right. So you almost died on the room on the table because of loss of blood and all of that stuff.
Yeah. About an hour later, I did die.
Wow.
About an hour later,
Okay.
I did die. And Brian, what happened at that moment was, instead of looking at you, which the physician was about a foot away from me, I was now on top of the room. I was on top of the room, and I was looking down at things. And I saw my neck for the first time just split wide open. And then I just left the room. I just went into what I call the void of darkness. And I remember as I was traveling up, I just saw this. You know how you see that first twinkling star at night? Well, that's what I saw. And I just kept on focusing on that. And it kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it became an all-encompassing white light, and I went through it. And the very second that I went through that, Brian, I knew that I was home. It just energetically was exactly what our spirit and our life force is. It was just, that's where our home is.
And you came back to life, and you went back to your body.
I was dead for 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah, I was dead in time for 2 to 3 minutes, but where I went into timelessness.
Okay.
I went into the mind and consciousness of the force that's kind of pulling everything behind the scenes, and was revealed its why and what's going on. And the last thing that I remember hearing, Brian, was that and it was nothing audibly. I call them zings in the book because everything was telepathic. It was like lightning bolts that was hitting me right here. And the last thing that I was told, Brian, was that you have to come back. And I'm like, no, I don't want to come back. You have to come back. And it said, you have to go back and tell all who I am. And Brian, that's been my mission for the last 23 years after I came back, was to tell all who I am, who that consciousness is. And really, at the essence of who we are, it's who we all are.
And I've heard some of these near-death experiences, and they all have a strange pattern. And so I had Anita Morjani in here, and she again sees herself from above. She actually doesn't necessarily want to go back. She's like, I kind of want to go hang out up here. But it's like, you got to go back. And she's like, all right, I'll go back. And then you go back because you still got work to do here, right? You still got lessons to teach. So it's weird how you hear these very similar themes when these things happen.
You know, it really is. Anita and I were just on a panel last February in Los Angeles. And yeah, we have that similar aspect of the fact that we never wanted to come back, right? Because energetically, that's who we are, to our essence, to our spirit. This is its hell that we're living in right down here now. So yeah, and so it's been a 23-year journey, Brian, that's got me to this point. Sitting down here with you and being able to connect my academy with the public through that brilliant Broadcasting Yourself course that I had the pleasure of taking with you.
Wow. Well, let's talk about that. What was going on with you to want to take that course, to seek it out? What was going on professionally, personally?
Well, I have an academy.
Yeah.
I have an academy that I train people to become what I call angelization coaches, to basically download that infinite intelligence in them. And so I had that academy, and there's this world over here, and I didn't have the connector. I didn't have the bridge to connect the two. And I took your course. I took Broadcast Yourself with the hope that it was going to help be the Academy's bridge for the public. But what it's turned out to be, Brian, is I'm actually teaching it to my coaches. I'm teaching what you taught me to my coaches. They're the ones that are developing the niche within the angelization message. And, they're sending me interviews that they're doing every day and saying, well, what's this? What's this? And I still haven't got it all together. They're so excited about the podcasting and aspect of their work. And so, I just want to thank you for that. It's just such a brilliant course that you offered.
Thank you, man. Isn't it wild how when you go to take one action, and because you took it so many times, it creates all these other actions you never thought possible.
Absolutely. There are no limits, are there?
Yeah. And there are no, except not doing anything, When
Yeah.
we limit ourselves, they limit all these possibilities.
That's correct.
And why London Real? Why us?
Well, because of the course. And the more that I got into the course, Brian, I was quite frankly blown away by the depth of you and everything that you're offering. You just give everything away. You don't. You're just there to be a facilitator. And correct me if I'm wrong about that. Yeah. You're just there to be a facilitator to help everyone to become the best they can be. And so that's what really attracted me to London Real, because that's my mission as well, is to help transform people into a consciousness and to unlock their infinite potentials that lie within us all.
Yeah, I love that. All right, tell me about your experiences on the course, just so people can get an idea of what it was like. You start that course, you get put in with all these strangers from around the world, different countries,
yeah,
different ideas, different,
yeah,
everything. Yeah. Obviously, you got me coming at you on these live calls. Yes. You got this accountability doc, yes, with lots of deadlines.
Yes.
I'm asking for videos to be uploaded.
Yes.
What do you make of all that? Those first 2 weeks?
Well, it was absolutely brilliant. My problem was I didn't have enough time because of my commitment to my clients, because of my commitment to my academy, and so I had that those two issues that I had to deal with. But I did it. I was able to get all my podcast in, and so yeah, I was really thankful with the way that you laid everything out, the way that you presented it, and I'm in the process of doing the same for my coaches as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I want to hear about that. What was the hardest thing for you in the course?
Time, lack of time, no doubt about that. Okay. Of course, I was technically challenged.
Yeah, how was the technology?
But again, everything's good, right?
Yeah.
And so,
explain to people why you said that. What do you mean by that?
Well, it was one of the videos that one of your podcasting colleagues, and he just gave his life story about his military experience, and it didn't matter what came at him. Everything was good.
And Jocko Willink, and he says good is his answer to any problem.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right, exactly.
There's always a positive side of it.
Absolutely.
Somewhere. You learn, you grow, you overcome. So that's the way you started looking at it.
That's the way. That's the way I've always looked at life, anyways, Brian. Yeah. After having my experience of being as left-brained and money-oriented and as limited as one could possibly be, to coming back with all of this, there's really no other way that I could be.
Biggest win for you on the course, was it booking that guest, or hosting that show, or having that conversation? Did something come to mind? Was something you were really happy that happened?
Well, I was happy with the whole course. I was happy with the detail that you put in every aspect to make sure that everyone knows everything that's needed, and to be able to get to the finishing line it was always the nice thing for me, and I could see that was going to be possible as well, provided that I had enough time, which I was able to make. So yeah, reaching the finish line for sure, Brian.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask, but maybe about halfway through you can maybe see, I think how I can make it is getting there. And yeah, like what I try to do on that course is like I really try to create podcasts that are bigger than mine. Like I'm really trying to give you everything I do here. So how we book the guests, how I prepare for the guests, how we go deep in the middle of a show, the mistakes I made, how I'm still learning, everything we really want to do, how we promote the shows. So I want to give everybody all that stuff so they can feel like they can go do it. Because nobody really talks about some of those little details. You know?
Right. No, I've never heard that before. I've never heard. And with respect to every one of those little details, you have covered every single base. You know, it's not like you're going from first to third here. I mean, you're rounding the bases full speed all the time, which was great. I love that.
What was the community like? What were your fellow classmates like? You just met a bunch of them out here today.
Yeah.
What's it like? Well, first of all, having these weird virtual relationships and then coming to London and seeing these people.
Well, the virtual relationships was something that I'm totally new. I'm just not I'm so technically challenged. It's not funny, but having that type of relationship and knowing that I need to create that to get my academy from where it is now to the rest of the world, and meeting these people, completing that journey, if you like, has been incredible, because really there's nothing more in life than relationships, is there? And so you've really opened up a side that I never knew existed, simply because of where I was at and what I was doing, and it's really going to help blossom the academy, help my coaches, and transform yourself.
Good, man. I'm so excited you can use that. And you'll see, because you'll meet everybody tonight. There'll be people giving speeches. We're doing master class, and we're hanging out all weekend with each other anyways. But you'll see that you know all these people really well. Even though you've never physically touched. You've experienced so many different emotions and confessions and hard points. And
I get that, and I felt that from people from South Africa to the UK to Greece, all over the world, right? It's like there's this built-in community that's just there, right? You've reached out into the ethers, Brian, and pulled us all together.
It's weird because it's like there's a bunch of London Reelers out in the world. There's millions and millions of them that watch the stuff and they get our vibe. But then you boil them down to, a few people who pull the trigger and say, I'm going to really go for this. I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to go all in. And those are the people you're hanging out with. So it's like, it's cool because these people, they're not going to quit. They're all in. They're willing to change. They're willing to struggle. And it's like, those are the people you want on your team.
Absolutely. And everything's good.
What do you want to do in the next few years? What's your goal for the podcast, for your coaches, for your academy? What's the plan?
Well, right now we have a handful of coaches around the world. We have 6 coaches around the world now. And my 5-year plan is to have over 100,000 coaches around the world, because it's going to transform life. It reverses aging. It creates ultimate wellness. It gets rid of anything that's not genetic from a health perspective. It unleashes a monetary freedom for people. It allows them to see and understand from an infinite intelligence consciousness perspective, not just from the bottom of the glasses, from what we see as real here, but literally from behind the strings that are pulling everything from behind the scenes as to what's really going on.
And you're tapping into that knowledge and that view you got when you had that out-of-body experience and that purity. And you want to try to get people to channel that because they have it inside them. But not everybody needs a chainsaw in their neck.
Not everyone needs to have the chainsaw.
Well, maybe they do need it. They don't need it, but that's the quickest way.
Well, I don't wish that upon anybody, Brian. But
we all have that potential.
Everybody has that potential.
And you've been lucky enough to see it.
I've been lucky enough to go beyond where normal near-death experiences go. And I went out of time. I went into timelessness. I went into the mind of Source. I went into the mind of God. It revealed its everythingness to me and what's really happening. Where I went during my afterlife experience, Brian, was I went into the pre-planning events of time. Okay, and I was actually in the Big Bang and actually saw it all happening while it was happening as well. But I was in the pre-planning events of time, and the great thought encompassed it all. encompasses it all. And from its perspective, it's already happened. Everything has already happened. And so the reason why I came back was to move time, if you can think of an exclamation mark, that time is kind of like that dot at the bottom of the exclamation mark, into timelessness. And from a top-down perspective, that's already happened. But from our bottom-up perspective, we are in the process of making that happen.
Wow, man, that's super powerful. Well, it's exciting to see how you can take the knowledge here and the podcasting stuff and get that to help you scale all of your coaches. And I'm always fascinated with the different applications people have for what we do here and how they take it out other places.
Right.
You know, just had Kia on here, and she's like, I'm doing live things now, and then I repackage those as podcast. I was like, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to see what you guys can do with it.
Yeah.
If someone's watching us and is thinking about taking the course but are on the edge, what would you say?
Why are you taking your time? Why aren't you not taking it? Really, if you just want to stay in the status quo of where you're at, good, stay there. But if you really want to make something of your life and unlock potentials that you never thought was possible, then you have to take it.
JC, I love your energy, man.
Thank you.
I love the fact that you're out there pushing yourself to get into this technology that you know can help transform the world. I also love the fact that I've sat down and spoken with people about this spiritual stuff. So when you tell me, I'm like, that makes total sense. Because 5 years ago, I'd have been like, what happened? And I'm sure you get that reaction from people.
Yeah.
But I've spoken to enough people now, Anita twice now, and I'm like, okay, I totally get this.
Yeah.
So I love what you're doing, man.
Thank you.
I think it's important that you get this knowledge to people out there in the world. And I think your story is so powerful. I mean, I think it'll grab people right away. And I know you know that. And explaining your story is a real powerful way to get people to say, to stop, first of all. We're in an attention economy right now. To stop, maybe admit there's a problem, which is another hard thing to do.
Exactly.
And then also know, wait, maybe I can channel some of the pure energy inside of me and get to where I need to go. So
that's what it's about.
I love it, man. Well, welcome to the London Real family.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm looking forward to hanging out the whole weekend. We're going to show you everything we do here broadcasting-wise. Hopefully that can help you in the journey.
Excellent.
And let's do some big things, all right?
Excellent. Hey, thank you, Brian.
Thanks, JC.
Pleasure. All the best.
At London Real, we believe that individual transformation can change the world. Join us and start your journey today.